So Coach Venables has already started his media track as he did an interview this morning with Andy Staples over there at On3 that had some nuggets in it that I felt like you all needed to hear to understand and really contextualize what Oklahoma is going to be doing moving forward underneath his leadership. And it got me excited as usual because the more I listen to him talk, the more I listen to him give explanations about what to do in the preparation, the more fired up I get when I run through a wall. So we're going to dive into that and talk about some of those nuggets. I got a link in the description below for the full interview for you all to partake in. I highly recommend it. I'll even have it timestamped for you. That way you can go straight to the part where Brent Venables is going through his interview because there's really good nuggets in there. But we'll dive in some of the main stuff. Before we do that, welcome to Unfair Sports. I'm your host, Jay. Thank y'all for pulling up to the channel. Let's pay some bills real quick and talk about Brent Venables and his interview with Andy Staples and 3 things that really jumped out to me that you all need to know about. Make sure you check out the Autograph app, co-founded by the GOAT himself, Tom Brady. It's an app that allows fans to unleash the rewards you deserve with great ticket pricing, as well as different promotions. Like right now, a March Madness promo where you and 7 of your friends can go to a big suite experience in LA for the Final Four. You definitely need to do that because if you win, you can bring me as your +1. But the good thing about the Autograph app is this. You can get all your favorite college basketball and just college content, sports content in general, all in one place. Read articles from your favorite team's blogs and publishers directly in the app, as well as listen to the top podcast hosts that are all hosted inside of there. See everybody there. And you can also, refer your squad and get in there and get rewarded together. Leverage those points for opportunities with ticket pricing and ticket promotions. All the things you're looking for being a fan. So check out the Autograph app. Use our link in the description below and the promo code UNFAIRSports. That lets them know that I sent you and obligates you to bring me on anything that you win. Just FYI. So it's happy spring practice day for those who celebrate because spring practice did start today. And Brent Venables began that with a great interview with Andy Staples at On3. And he really dove into, to me, some of the foundational pieces of what they're trying to do here at Oklahoma and really contextualized a lot of that stuff. That openness and transparency that he always has is the thing that makes me just love Brent Venables more and more every time I hear him talk, every time he does an interview. It gets me excited and pumped up for what's to come in the coming season, right? So here's 3 things that really jumped out to me that I feel like you as fans should really know about. So first and foremost, Brent Venables talked to Andy, and Andy Staples asked this question. He asked him about building a team to compete in the SEC, right? It's like Oklahoma's moving to the SEC here in 2024. What's your focus as far as building your team? And Brent Venables gave, to me, the perfect answer to that, right? And he pointed to, we're not here to build a team to win the SEC, right? Don't panic. He said, we're here to build a team to win national championships, right? He's trying to build title-winning teams, and it doesn't just limit them to the SEC. Now, granted, a lot of times the teams you're going to go against potentially will be SEC, but you're going to see some of the top teams also in other conferences, like the Big Ten. If someone from the Big 12 makes a run, ACC's got some talent there. And it went back to, and Staples talked to him about that, and he pointed out it makes sense because similar to the life at Clemson, right? When Brent Venables was there building that defense with Dabo Swinney and that team, they built their team not to win the ACC. They focused on what they needed to do round 1 of the college football playoffs and going in to win titles. So in that case, yes, it was building and preparing to play against teams like Alabama for the title, which they did twice and won those games, but also playing against Oklahoma in the first round. That game there, initially, Oklahoma looked like they had it. We looked like we had that win. And then Clemson closed it out, right? Playing against other teams, Ohio State, especially hot ones. So Clemson was trying to build their teams to beat, not only win only their conference, but they had to be able to beat everybody. And we know going into the SEC, the biggest thing is going to be that trench work is going to be a lot of big dudes. It's going to be a lot of dudes that's going to always be sizey. And so Oklahoma's going to have to be prepared to not only win their conference, but they've got to be able to beat a team in the Big Ten in a playoff scenario, right? Even a team in the ACC. So as long as you're building towards winning a championship, paraphrasing Venables here, that's what they're pushing for. That was awesome. Like I said it perfectly, jumped out to me, made me say, okay, when you see the moves, we got to get past the SEC. I mean, that was the biggest problem with Oklahoma before in the last regime. We were built to win our conference, weren't built to get past our conference, right? And so that is the goal, is to make sure we're able to do that, especially when you're going to start going against legendary teams. It's going to be those moments, those classes are going to be stupid, and you got to go against a team that's built with a bunch of NFL bodies. I see Venables is doing that now, focus on getting those same bodies, and I think we'll be fine. The second thing that jumped out to me in that conversation with Andy Staples over there at On3, again, the description below, you can see the link to Venables' interview and watch it for yourself after this video, of course. But he asked him about coaching the players today, right? Can you coach these players today like you did in years past, their time at Clemson? Can you coach them similarly? And Venables said absolutely. He believes that you can. He still believes that. And we know that some coaches have left because of the sense of, the entitlement that they say the kids have. And a lot of kids are there for the money and all of that. And Venables pointed out, even back then, you still had players like that. You had players that were focused on getting drafted and focused on their playing time. He's like, but they try to cultivate a culture of team first, me second, right? Which we're seeing that with a lot of these players. The veterans there are teaching the younger players and not in fear of them taking their jobs, but making sure that they're prepared to step up whenever they have to come out the game, right? Iron sharpening iron type scenario. And also really taking the approach of being leaders of men. He makes mention of this numerous times in numerous interviews, which is probably my favorite statement that we get out of Brent Venables, is that he talks about walking the talk that he always has, which, they constantly talk about we're leaders of men and this, that, and the other, but they want to make sure that they're leading them not only to potential NFL stardom, but also leading them outside of college and life as just a man in society. And I love the way he pointed that out, because that's, to me, one thing that's kind of lost in a lot of these conversations about some of these players. Look, you're going to have players that's going to be about that dollar. You cannot do anything about that. We all work with people that are like that as well. But his focus is building them into team players and teammates that people want to be around. And that just jumped out to me as saying, yep, you continuously preach that. And we're seeing that with a lot of the players. We're seeing the way they speak. We're seeing them in their podcasts, the way they talk about it. Yes, they're building their own platforms and brands, in which Venables mentioned. We'll talk about that next. They're building their own, but at the same time, they're still focused on team, which is huge for what we're trying to do here. The last thing is, the third thing that Venables mentioned in that interview with Andy Staples that I really adored, is he talked about, Staples asked him, he said, you did a local press conference, right, on Wednesday. You had the young guys out there talking. A lot of teams don't do that. And he's like, well, what was the thought process behind that? And I'm going to be honest, felt like a major recruiting pitch, and I loved it, because he really talked about, they give these players media training. They're going to get them out there, not only helping build their own brands, but building the Oklahoma brand countrywide, right? Also giving a present to the local media, as well as, those that make content. I think he was speaking to people like myself, right? We take those interviews and we create content. And he believes that we will do it in good faith to the players and to what Oklahoma's doing. And he's right. Our goal is to uplift and build the program, build the players, and having that opportunity to really talk and that type of access is huge. And so he's providing something that Oklahoma hasn't seen in a long time. It is the ability to talk to those young players and let those young players really speak about how their experience is, which is a good way to speak to recruits about how their experience could potentially be as well, right? So hearing that tells me, okay, Venables is building a team to go play in the SEC and also win titles. So this team is to build titles, all about titles. Not just the SEC, which I love. He's also talking about these kids can be coached, but you got to get the right kids. And that's the thing that I think a lot of our fans have to understand. And I have to understand too as a fan. Certain coaches go after certain players for certain reasons. And you have to recognize and put our trust in it, unfortunately. And the last thing, of course, is building this brand of Oklahoma nationwide. We've been able to recruit nationwide, but we're going to have to do a lot more of it while also building here at home too, and taking advantage and leveraging the talent in the state that's growing and getting those talented players everywhere. So that was Brent Venables' thoughts. Hop in the comments. Let your boy know your thoughts. Love to hear from you all. about that. If you've watched the interview, jump in the comments and tell us what you think about it and what jumped out to you. Maybe make another video to dive into those comments. If you've made it this far, you like the content, please hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Love for you to join this family of college football fans, talking OU football and college football in general. Having a blast doing it. So, check out one of the videos over here. And we'll have our videos breaking down the positions now that we're in spring ball. We'll start putting those players out there so you guys can start looking. And we'll talk soon. Peace.